None of these cars are actually moving. No camera rigs, no dangerous stunts, no expensive equipment, just you, Photoshop, and the secrets I'm about to tell you in this video. Welcome to the Photoshop Garage. My name is Key, and today we're cranking up the horsepower on your photo editing skills. Whether you're working with cars, motorcycles, athletes, or anything else that moves, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to inject pure speed and energy into your images using nothing but Photoshop. But here's the thing, before we jump into Photoshop, how does your brain actually know something is moving fast? It comes down to three key visual cues. First, motion blur. When something moves faster than your eye can track, it appears streaked or smeared.
I am speed.
Second, there's relative motion. Things in the foreground appear to move faster than things in the background. And third, focus separation. Your eye naturally focuses on the moving subject while everything else becomes less sharp. That's what we're going to recreate in Photoshop. All right, here we go. First things first, you need to start with a nice boring photo of your car. Okay, don't go too boring. Work the angles here, get low to the ground. This is really gonna sell the speed effect later. Now, we need to tell Photoshop exactly what should stay sharp and what should get that beautiful motion blur. Never work with your original image. Right-click the background layer, duplicate it, and call this new layer subject or car. This is called non-destructive editing, and trust me, this is a habit that you're going to want to build now because it's going to save you later. Now for some Photoshop magic, go to select and select subject, and watch this. Photoshop's AI is going to trace around our car automatically. Pretty impressive. But if it's not perfect, you can go ahead and grab the quick selection tool. That's the W hotkey on your keyboard, and you can clean up any areas that you missed. You can hold down the Shift key and trace to add things, or you can hold down the Alt key to subtract from the selection. Once you've got a clean selection, hit that layer mask button at the bottom of your layer panel, and bam, our subject is now isolated and ready for action. And a pro tip here, if select subject or the quick selection tool are not working as well as you think they should, you can also use the pen tool and you can get a super precise selection doing it that way. You've seen me do it like that on this channel a lot. Okay, we've cut out our car, but we can't just start blurring the background because you'll get all kinds of weird blur artifacts from the car still being on the background layer. So duplicate that background layer again, call it clean background, and now control click on your subject layer mask to bring back that selection. But one more tip, make sure to expand your selection by about 25 pixels under the select, modify, and expand menu. This gives Content Aware Fill some breathing room to work its magic and to know how to fill in the background. Now you can fill in the background one of two ways. You can go to Edit, then Fill, set it to Content Aware, then hit OK. Or with your selection, you can simply go up to the Generative Fill palette, click Generative Fill, and then just hit Generate. Now we get to watch Photoshop intelligently rebuild the background where our car used to be. It's not perfect, but remember, this is all getting blurred anyway. So those little imperfections that the AI caused will vanish completely. They don't even matter. Speaking of, let's get into blurring this background. With your clean background layer selected, you want to convert that to a smart object. This lets us tweak our settings later without starting over. Now go to Filter, Blur Gallery, and select the path blur. I love this tool because it doesn't just create a boring uniform Gaussian style blur. It lets us define the exact direction and speed of the motion we want to create. You see this arrow? This is your motion path. I'm gonna go ahead and drag this within the frame, following the direction that our car is traveling. You can even curve it by clicking in the middle. It's perfect for cars that are going around a bend, or if you need to adjust the angle of the blur based on just what you want to portray in the scene. And then the speed slider is almost like our little gas pedal within Photoshop. As I crank this dial up, just watch the background transform into these beautifully streaked motion lines. But there is a secret here that not a lot of people pay attention to. If you're dealing with a photo and you're straight on from the side, you can do just one path. But you can also add multiple paths depending on the angle of your car. The road has one perspective. The grass and trees on the side may have a slightly different perspective. This is where knowing about your vanishing point comes in handy. By following these natural lines with separate blur paths, we create incredible depth and realism within our photo. And check this out, turn on the Edit Blur Shapes, and you can actually adjust the speed at different points along your path. Things closer to you appear to move faster. So by cranking up the endpoint speed on paths at the bottom of the frame, we're faking that parallax effect that your brain expects to see. The background looks incredible, but just look at those wheels. They are completely frozen solid. What? And that's gonna be a dead giveaway that this speed effect has been faked. So let's fix that. Now moving the wheels to a new layer would be a great place to start, but I tend to be a little bit excessive with these details. So what I like to do is import a new set of wheels and a set of brakes into the artwork as new layers. Then we can do the speed effect on those layers. I like to be able to really dial in the details on these. You guys know that. Now with the wheel selected, we need to add this wheel spin. Now go back up to Filter, Blur Gallery, but this time you want to choose the spin blur. Position the circle perfectly over the wheel, and then you just want to drag the center to move it in, use the handles to match the wheel's perspective, and now crank up that blur angle and watch that wheel come to life. And here's a killer shortcut. Hold down Alt and Control to drag that blur circle to duplicate it for the back wheel, and then just resize it as you need. Now you'll notice that the whole wheel is blurry, but in real life, the brake calipers don't rotate with the wheel, they stay in place. This is why I move these wheels to their own layer. Now we can go back, we can add those brake calipers in place behind the blur, and it looks like this is real life. By keeping the brake calipers sharp, that detail sells the realism. Let's go ahead and click on your subject layer mask, grab a black brush at about 10% opacity, and gently brush along the trailing edges of the car where the tires meet the road. This adds just a hint of motion blur to sell the idea that even our sharp subject is moving through this environment. Next, let's ground the car with a shadow. You can either paint back in the shadow that was already there from the car, or we can do a new layer above the clean background. Do a soft black brush or shape on low opacity, and just paint a subtle shadow under the car. This small detail adds massive impact to ground the car and make this all cohesive. Finally, we can add a curves adjustment layer and create a gentle S-curve. Pull the highlights up slightly, the shadows down. This adds contrast and drama while helping separate your sharp subject from that beautifully blurred background. And that's the basics of the speed effect in Photoshop. Now, you could go crazy with this. You can add light effects from the taillights. You can add additional lights to the background and just really sell this as part of a digital art piece. But with this being your ground foundation, you're going to be killing it with these motion shots. And there you go. Check out this transformation from static and boring to absolutely electrifying. And you've mastered this by understanding how our brains perceive speed, then using that science to guide our editing. From creating a clean background, using content aware fill, applying directional motion with path blur, the spin blur to get those wheels cranking, all of those crucial finishing touches sell the realism. The key is layering these effects thoughtfully, each one building on the last to create something that doesn't just look fast, but it feels fast. If you found this tutorial helpful, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. And if you want to see this speed effect used in an actual poster, then you can click here. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.